Welcome to Royal Secret. Power, passion, legacy. From the freezing fjords of Scandinavia to the marble halls of Copenhagen's Amalienborg Palace, the Danish monarchy is no fairy tale. It's a living, breathing story of survival, reinvention, and duty. And at the heart of this modern saga stand two figures reshaping a kingdom in their image: King Frederik X and Queen Mary. But how did we get here? How did a centuries-old monarchy evolve from Viking warlords to one of the most admired royal dynasties in Europe? And how did an Australian commoner named Mary Donaldson rise to become a Queen of Denmark? This is not just history, it's destiny. Welcome to the untold story of Denmark's royal past and the dazzling path that brought King Frederik and Queen Mary to the throne. Get ready for secrets, succession struggles, and moments that changed a nation forever. Because in Denmark, the crown doesn't just rest on heads, it transforms lives. Denmark is one of the oldest monarchies in the world, tracing its royal bloodline back over 1,000 years. But to understand today's Danish royals, we must journey to a time before crowns and castles. Back to when the Danes were fierce seafarers, Vikings who carved their legacy into Europe's coasts with swords and longships. Around the late 10th century, one man emerged from the brutal northern mists to unite these warriors into something greater. His name, King Gorm the Old. He was the first historically recognized ruler of all Denmark, and his son, Harald Bluetooth, took it further, converting the Danes to Christianity and unifying the kingdom. You know his name from your smartphone's Bluetooth function, but his legacy is far greater than tech. He laid the foundations of a royal tradition that would outlive empires. From these early kings sprang a dynastic tree so vast, it would survive wars, invasions, and revolutions. The Danish monarchy would adapt, evolve, and survive when others fell. But even then, the question of succession haunted the crown. As centuries passed, Denmark's throne became a prize not only of blood but of politics. Through the Middle Ages and Renaissance, the country saw monarchs who were both revered and reviled. Some were warrior kings, others, reformers. All faced the same eternal question: who would rule next? The line of succession in Denmark, unlike in absolute monarchies, was often shaped by more than birthright. Political alliances, noble influence, and even foreign marriages often tipped the scales. Kings were elected from royal bloodlines until the Lex Regia in 1665 made the monarchy hereditary. By the 19th century, with Europe reshaping under revolutions and rising nationalism, Denmark adapted again. The nation moved toward constitutional monarchy, a model that placed the royal family as symbolic leaders rather than political rulers. The throne was no longer absolute, but its symbolism only grew stronger. This modernized monarchy would one day be handed to Frederik X, but not before facing the greatest upheaval of all: World War II. During World War II, Denmark was occupied by Nazi Germany. And yet, in this darkest time, the royal family became a powerful beacon of national pride. King Christian X, riding his horse daily through Copenhagen during the occupation, became a silent protest against tyranny. Legend has it he wore a yellow star in solidarity with Danish Jews. Though historically debated, the story symbolizes the king's defiance and moral strength. It was Christian's integrity and public connection that reinforced the monarchy's role in Danish life, not as distant rulers, but as symbols of unity, tradition, and resilience. After the war, his son King Frederik IX would further modernize the image of the royal family. He brought transparency, charm, and approachability to the throne. And then came one of the most groundbreaking shifts in Danish royal history: Princess Margrethe. Born in 1940, Princess Margrethe was never meant to be queen. Until 1953, Denmark's laws only allowed male succession. But in a pivotal referendum, the constitution was amended, allowing her to ascend the throne. In 1972, she became Queen Margrethe II upon her father's death. A brilliant scholar, fluent in several languages, and an artist at heart, Margrethe redefined what it meant to be a monarch in a modern era. For over 50 years, she reigned as one of Europe's most respected sovereigns, blending tradition with forward-thinking diplomacy. Her reign saw the birth of the European Union, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the global rise of environmental consciousness, issues she often addressed in her thoughtful New Year's speeches. But behind palace walls, the question of succession stirred once more. Her son, Crown Prince Frederik, was being groomed for the throne. Yet he was a prince torn between duty and desire, struggling with the weight of royal expectation in a changing world. Then, everything changed with one fateful encounter in Sydney. In the year 2000, during the Sydney Olympics, Crown Prince Frederik walked into a local pub. There, he met a bright, elegant, and self-assured woman named Mary Donaldson. She wasn't royalty, she wasn't European, she was a marketing executive from Tasmania. And yet, for Frederik, she was the one. Their relationship blossomed in secret before it was revealed to the world. The Danish press was skeptical. Could a commoner truly become queen? Could an Australian woman adapt to centuries-old Danish royal protocol? But Mary proved everyone wrong. After intense preparation, language learning, and public scrutiny, she married Crown Prince Frederik on May 14, 2004. The world watched as a woman from the other side of the globe walked into Copenhagen Cathedral and emerged as Crown Princess of Denmark. Her grace, composure, and humanitarian spirit quickly won the hearts of Danes. Queen Margrethe herself praised Mary's dedication and influence. And so began a royal partnership that would captivate the nation. But the crown, the crown was still years away. For 2 decades, Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary prepared for their future roles. Frederik, once seen as a reluctant royal, found strength in Mary's unwavering support. Together, they raised 4 children, Prince Christian, Princess Isabella, and twins Prince Vincent and Princess Josephine, in a balance of tradition and grounded modern parenting. The couple became Denmark's new power duo, with Mary championing mental health, education, and women's rights across the globe, while Frederik promoted sports, science, and environmental causes. Public trust in the monarchy soared. They weren't just royal, they were relatable. All the while, Queen Margrethe continued her long reign. But in early 2024, after celebrating 52 years on the throne, she made a stunning announcement. She would abdicate, passing the crown to her son. It was the end of an era, and the beginning of a new royal dawn. For over 50 years, Queen Margrethe II held Denmark's crown with dignity and wisdom. But when she stepped down in early 2024, the world watched in awe as a new chapter began. The nation's beloved crown prince and princess were no longer waiting in the wings. They were now King Frederik X and Queen Mary of Denmark. But how exactly did this royal transition unfold? What happened behind palace doors? And how did Denmark, and the world, respond to this unprecedented royal change? This is the next gripping chapter in a dynasty like no other. The world was caught off guard on New Year's Eve 2023, when Queen Margrethe II made a rare and deeply personal announcement. During her televised address, after over 5 decades of reign, longer than any other Danish monarch in history, Margrethe announced she would abdicate the throne on January 14, 2024, exactly 52 years after becoming queen. The moment was historic and emotional. No Danish monarch had voluntarily abdicated in nearly 900 years. Yet Margrethe, always ahead of her time, chose to make space for a new generation. She explained the decision came after a major back surgery earlier that year, which gave her time to reflect on life, health, and the future of the crown. Her words were elegant and firm. Time takes its toll, and the number of ailments increases. You must take stock of life. And I have decided that now is the right time. The Danish people were stunned, but overwhelmingly supportive. It wasn't just a political moment, it was a human one. A monarch known for her strength and intellect was now showing vulnerability and wisdom in equal measure. And in doing so, she made way for the next royal chapter. On January 14, 2024, the streets of Copenhagen buzzed with history. Crowds gathered outside Christiansborg Palace, the seat of Danish power, where the official proclamation of the new monarch would unfold. Inside the palace, Crown Prince Frederik stood, solemn and ready, wearing his ceremonial uniform. At 12 noon, as tradition dictates, the Prime Minister of Denmark stepped onto the palace balcony and proclaimed, "King Frederik X, by the grace of God, King of Denmark." The crowd below erupted in cheers, waves of flags, and raw emotion. But it wasn't just Frederik who ascended that day. Standing at his side, radiant and poised, was Mary, now officially Queen Mary of Denmark, the first Australian-born queen consort in European history. The moment was nothing short of iconic. Here stood a man once weighed down by the crown's looming future, now stepping confidently into his destiny. And beside him, a woman whose journey from Tasmania to throne room had captured global fascination. They kissed. Briefly, on the balcony. The crowd roared louder. History was made not with spectacle, but with sincerity. Denmark didn't just witness a change in leadership. It witnessed a generational shift. King Frederik X, at 55, is the first Danish monarch to be raised almost entirely in a post-war, democratic society. He is eco-conscious, athletic, and deeply committed to public service. And Queen Mary, she brings global perspective, diplomatic skill, and unmatched public empathy. Her style and substance have already drawn comparisons to iconic royals like Queen Maxima of the Netherlands and even the late Princess Diana. The Danish people embraced them warmly. Social media lit up with images from the balcony ceremony. Global headlines praised the monarchy's smooth transition, a model of calm leadership in an era often defined by chaos. But it wasn't just the ceremony or symbolism that mattered. It was the message. The Danish monarchy is not frozen in time. It evolves, with dignity, humility, and grace. Frederik and Mary weren't just handed a crown. They earned it. Their decades of service, their commitment to family, their ability to bridge modernity and tradition, this is what prepared them for the throne. And the world was watching. No sooner had they ascended than their royal duties began. King Frederik and Queen Mary immediately set a tone of accessibility and reform. In their first joint public appearance after the coronation, they visited children's hospitals, spoke with veterans, and hosted small-scale receptions aimed at celebrating everyday Danish heroes. The message was clear: this monarchy would not be cloistered behind palace walls. Queen Mary launched initiatives focusing on mental health, domestic violence prevention, and international diplomacy, areas she had long championed as crown princess. Now, with the full weight of the crown behind her, those causes gained greater global attention. King Frederik, meanwhile, held state meetings with government leaders, reaffirmed Denmark's commitments to green energy, and continued advocating for youth engagement in democracy. Their first foreign tour as monarchs was meticulously chosen, visiting Greenland and the Faroe Islands, underscoring their dedication to all corners of the Danish realm, not just Copenhagen's elite circles. Suddenly, the Danish monarchy felt more alive, more modern, and more global than ever before. With King Frederik and Queen Mary on the throne, eyes naturally turned to the next in line, Prince Christian. At just 18, Christian became Crown Prince of Denmark, the youngest heir apparent in Europe at the time. His visibility increased overnight. Every move, word, and appearance became symbolic of Denmark's future. But the royal couple has been careful. Rather than thrust Christian into the spotlight too quickly, they've ensured his education and private life are prioritized. Still, the Danish public has watched his emergence with curiosity and admiration. Queen Mary, especially, has taken great care in mentoring not just Christian, but all four of their children in the values of service, humility, and leadership. The message is clear: this is not a celebrity monarchy. It is a working monarchy. And every royal bears the weight of responsibility. With Frederik and Mary now king and queen, royal watchers across the world have begun comparing them to Europe's other powerful monarchies. Some see echoes of King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima in the Netherlands. Others liken their reformist energy to King Felipe and Queen Letizia of Spain. But perhaps most significantly, there is growing talk that Frederik and Mary may become Europe's leading royal couple. Why? Because they bring together heritage and modernity, tradition and innovation, with a uniquely international background. Queen Mary is fluent in Danish, but also speaks English natively, allowing Denmark to punch above its weight diplomatically. She often speaks at global forums, from the United Nations to World Health Organization summits, where her advocacy for women's and children's rights resonates deeply. King Frederik's commitment to climate policy, sporting diplomacy, and intergenerational leadership positions him as a thoughtful, future-minded monarch. Together, they're not just caretakers of the crown. They are ambassadors of a new royal age. The world has watched Denmark turn a page. From the beloved Queen Margrethe's historic abdication, to the elegant ascension of King Frederik X and Queen Mary, what began as a royal transition is now a masterclass in leadership, diplomacy, and destiny. But what does this next chapter mean for the monarchy? For Denmark? For the very idea of royalty in the 21st century? Every monarchy survives not by chance, but by symbol, by meaning. And Queen Mary, perhaps more than any modern royal, understands this. From the brooch she wore during her first speech as queen, rumored to have belonged to Queen Ingrid, to the national motifs woven into her gowns, Mary is crafting a visual language of unity and history. In one of her first major state events, she wore a white gown embroidered with Australian eucalyptus leaves alongside Danish roses, subtle but powerful. It was a message. Though born in Australia, I serve Denmark wholly. Even the crown jewels, some dating back to Christian V, took on new life in her first portrait as queen. There she stood, tall, serene, radiant in Denmark's regalia, but unmistakably modern. It wasn't about glamour, it was about message. The monarchy continues, not as a museum piece, but as a living institution. While Queen Mary crafts symbols, King Frederik X crafts policy focus and vision. From the outset, he made it clear, Denmark's monarchy would embrace the modern world, not resist it. He expanded the royal court's digital communication, introduced eco-friendly measures at royal residences, launched dialogues with young activists, scientists, and cultural leaders. And in a bold move, he reduced some of the pomp traditionally associated with royal travel, preferring electric vehicles, streamlined entourages, and closer engagement with local communities. In one visit to Aarhus, instead of waving from balconies, he sat in open cafes, greeting citizens face to face. The crowds were stunned and thrilled. As one young student put it, he feels like a real person, a real king, not someone behind velvet ropes. Under Frederik and Mary, the Danish monarchy has emerged as one of Europe's most influential diplomatic forces. Their first state visits as king and queen included stops in France, Japan, and the United States, where they were welcomed not just as ceremonial guests, but as true representatives of modern values. In Paris, Queen Mary held roundtable discussions on women's health policy with European leaders. In Tokyo, King Frederik spoke about green technology cooperation between Denmark and Asia. And in Washington, D.C., the couple's visit drew massive attention, not just for Queen Mary's stunning style, but for Frederik's passionate speech about transatlantic unity in climate response. These weren't just photo ops. These were partnerships. In an increasingly fractured world, Denmark, through its royal couple, was offering something rare: stability, intellect, compassion. It's impossible to talk about the Danish monarchy without focusing on one of its most beloved features, the marriage of King Frederik and Queen Mary. For more than 2 decades, they've been public partners, private parents, and unshakable allies. And now, as monarchs, they are showing how a dual leadership model can work. They do not compete, they complement. Where Frederik brings legacy and deep national roots, Mary brings innovation and international reach. Where Frederik is methodical, Mary is intuitive. They consult each other often, appear side by side frequently, and divide duties based on passion and skill. The result is a royal partnership that feels more like a 21st century power couple than a dusty institution. And the public loves it. Polls in 2025 show overwhelming approval ratings for both. A striking 89% of Danes reported feeling proud of their royal family's conduct and relevance. Yet no reign is without storms. As the world changes, so too must the monarchy. There are questions, real ones, facing Frederik and Mary. How much should the monarchy cost the Danish taxpayer? Should more royal properties become public museums? How should Prince Christian be raised, publicly or privately? Should Princess Isabella and the younger children receive royal titles and duties? And abroad, there are geopolitical tensions. The EU, NATO, and climate change pose unique diplomatic pressures. But if the first year of their reign is any measure, King Frederik and Queen Mary are not afraid of challenges. They embrace them. They've even begun consulting youth panels, inviting university students, teenage innovators, and social advocates to contribute ideas for Denmark's future. It's monarchy reimagined, as listening leadership. Prince Christian may be heir, but all 4 children of Frederik and Mary are shaping the royal image. Princess Isabella, recently turned 18, dazzled the country with her modern poise, intelligence, and growing public role. Rumors of her possibly studying abroad, like her mother, have sparked interest in her global future. Prince Vincent and Princess Josephine, the royal twins, are often seen attending school and sporting events. Their down-to-earth lifestyle is designed to shield them from fame, while preparing them for soft diplomacy roles. The goal: to raise citizen royals, individuals who understand the weight of tradition, but walk with the confidence of the future. Queen Mary has often said she wants her children to be strong enough to lead, humble enough to listen. Even in abdication, Queen Margrethe II remains a guiding figure. She continues to engage in the arts, design, and translation work. And she serves as a private mentor to Mary and Frederik, offering advice forged from 5 decades of reign. The public still sees her as the grandmother of the nation. On the first anniversary of her abdication, a documentary aired featuring intimate moments from her reign, including the passing of the crown to Frederik. It moved the country to tears. Margrethe had modernized the monarchy, and now, she had handed it to leaders who would elevate it. It means that in an age of rising republics, crumbling trust in institutions, and global uncertainty, Denmark has built something rare. A royal family that is trusted, modern, respected, deeply, genuinely loved. King Frederik X and Queen Mary are not the rulers of old. They are not figureheads. They are architects of legacy, forging a Danish monarchy that speaks not only to the past, but to the next 100 years. And the world is watching. Will they become Europe's most iconic modern royals? Will their children continue the legacy of calm, confident leadership? Will Denmark's monarchy outlive monarchies that cling to outdated spectacle? The answers lie ahead. As the crown passes from one generation to the next, one question remains for us all. In a world constantly changing, can royalty still lead with purpose, or is the age of kings and queens destined to fade into history? What do you think? Thanks for watching.